Hello, everyone. I am Travis.
I'm Brad.
This is Bradley, and you are watching and/or listening to I Must Stand. I Must Stand is more than just a podcast, and it's more than just a YouTube series. I Must Stand is a commitment. I Must Stand is a resolve to take the responsibility needed to keep not one,
But
both feet in the game, moving towards the future that's worth living. We help people gain clarity on their aim and break the mindset that they are defined by the space between. The I Must Stand mindset is having a constant awareness of time in one's life that they fall into patterns of victimhood and realizing that taking responsibility is what?
the only way out.
It's the only way out. It's the only way. So we provide transformational events and coaching for men, equipping them to take responsibility for their faith,
Family
body,
and business.
and business. So let's dive in today. Speaking of business, we mean more business than the last time we filmed because we said we meant business, but it was more of like a casual Friday because we had our coffees up here.
Yeah.
Just didn't look professional.
No.
We're better than that.
Yeah.
As I say that in my t-shirt and jeans.
Yeah.
We're better than that. I do miss my coffee though.
Hey, it's not far away.
It's not far away. I'm not going to get up and get it. I'll take a sip in a little bit. I don't know how producer Brian felt about coffee on the table. I was not a fan of it. How did you feel about it?
It was comforting.
It was comforting. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to spend much more time harping on this. So today we are talking about
The fear of failure. You ever done that before?
failed?
Yeah.
Me? Never. Never lost.
Never.
More than I would care to admit.
Yeah.
More than most people. I think everyone falls in that camp, but
What's different about failure being that we've gone through what we've gone through and gotten to the point in our lives where failure means something a little different than it used to for us than it has in the past?
yeah.
What's something different about failure for you?
Oh, man. I avoided failure like the plague before.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that drove me to success. Like, I don't want to fail, so it's going to drive me to success. I didn't want to fail, so it drove me to apathy.
Right.
Like, I would just give up. I did not want to deal with the feeling of failure, so I wouldn't even try. So when I say, how do I relate to failure now, I actually engage it.
Yeah.
I would be lying if I said like I'm totally comfortable and perfectly fine with it. Like the criminal in me still wants to avoid it like the plague.
Sure.
I know I want to run away from it, but the perspective I have now is it will make me better.
Right.
If I'm willing to embrace it, and we've talked before on previous episodes, when we count when we're clear on where we want to be, we're clear with where we're at, and we're clear with what the costs are going to be. What are the costs I'm willing to pay? I'm willing to pay the price of failure.
Right.
To
Failure.
get there.
Failure's not the goal.
Oh, by no stretch. I mean, we're not going out here being like, man, I really hope I can tank this bad boy.
But when it happens, it propels you towards the goal.
Right. It's something that I'm okay with. I'm more than okay with.
You know, something about this doesn't feel like authentic. Are you feeling like failure is
No, I'm trying to be
the way?
It is the way. The obstacle is the way. I've said that before, and you can quote me on that. Like, I don't want to sit up here like this guy that's like it's the perfect and doesn't have his own deal. Like, that is still a struggle for me.
Sure.
Like, that's why I say I'm okay with it. Just being fully transparent. Like, where am I at in the embracing scale? I'm okay with it.
Right.
Right. I'm not. There are some people I know that are so okay with it that they can run. They can run with no fear of it.
Sure.
And when they experience it, there's no shame that rises up. There's no self-loathing. There's no self-pity. There's no lack of self-acceptance. Up until recently, those are things that I have struggled with.
Yeah.
And when I experienced failure, the woe is me would just hit me like a ton of bricks. And to be able to navigate it just non-emotionally, like, oh, okay, like it is what it is. This is what I learned from it.
Yeah.
And it's just catching the criminal in me as I experience it.
Sure. And that's healthy too. I think like as we like run at failure or we run away from failure, wherever you're at, like there is a normalcy to like actually mourning like whatever you failed in, like having that period of time of like reflection, of like sadness, grief, whatever that failure looks like, maybe anger, but having those feelings, they need to happen. I mean, it's kind of natural for you to go through that process, but then to be able to like move out of it quickly, like have a system or a process or a mindset that shifts your relation to that failure to where that failure then becomes the thing that can push you forward. So yeah, that's kind of something that I just was sitting here pondering.
Was on your heart?
On my heart,
Was on your
on
heart?
my mind.
Well, I think one thing that's on my heart while we're sharing things on our hearts, the fear of failure is paralyzing.
It is.
And I had to come to grips with, if I wanted to make a difference in the world around me, and not just that, but if I wanted to be true to myself, if I wanted to be one with my word, if I wanted to hold the commitments that I spoke into existence and pursue the visions that I had of the future that I wanted to live in, it was inevitable. Like facing it was going to be a thing. And I mean, people that are listening and watching, I'm sure that they can relate that plenty of times that you've had visions and you've had dreams and you want to pursue great things and you have ways that you can make it. Like there's something in you, and I believe that God places vision and dreams in all of us. Mm-hmm. But there's something in you that can make a difference that only you can bring to the table. Like the fear of failure then becomes like such a selfish thing at that point.
Yeah.
When you're looking at it through that lens, like probably the lowest point that I felt in my life is when I had just given in. Like I just kind of laid down. I didn't even try anymore. I would want to make a difference, but I don't want to. I would be so vague with my goals, which is a strategy to avoid failure because I didn't want to deal with the shame or the self-pity and all the things that came with that when I had to face it. Yeah. So I just didn't.
Yeah.
Like I avoided it. And plenty of people can relate to that. And my challenge to them is, and encouragement to them and question to them is, what is the world missing out on when you give in? Like, what are the people around you missing out on when you fall into the failure trap?
Yeah, they're missing out on the authenticity portion of you, or the resource that you have.
The resource that you can be for them. Mm-hmm. And when you give up on yourself, and make no mistake that giving into the fear of failure is giving up on yourself.
Yeah. Like,
I'm not going to, this is what I want to do. This is what's on my heart. I'm not going to try because I'm afraid.
Right.
That is a miserable, miserable, miserable place to be in. Anything that is worth pursuing takes courage.
Right.
Any dream or vision that someone has, the conversations that need to be had with their spouse, the hitting the gym, whatever it is, it takes courage to get up and to get after it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. How do you relate to failure? And like, I've spoken a lot about it, but I'm committed to, one of the things I've been committed to this past year and this year is courage. Mm-hmm. Taking the steps forward. Whatever comes.
Right. Yeah, I mean, well said. Like the fear of failure and the courage to fail being the opposite are two ends of the spectrum, and we always kind of fall somewhere in between, and we're our mind and mindset is always pulling us one way or the other. It's just having the ability and the tools in place to be able to move that needle towards courage, to have failure. And a lot of that comes, I think, whenever whenever you do shift your mindset from fear of failure to courage to fail, is what you do when you fall down. Like, what do you do when you fail? Like, what's your recourse? What's your go-to after you fail? Is it to like wallow in self-pity, or is it to like actually get up and try again? I remember breaking horses. That was like one of the things I did years ago.
Another beautiful
Another
metaphor
lifetime.
coming our way. Let's go.
No. But like, I remember getting thrown off of horses that were not broke, that I just, had the courage to get on, but were not broke. And I remember like getting thrown and freaking out, like mentally, like not wanting to get back on this horse.
How old were you when this was happening?
I was in college, so
Okay.
old enough to probably know better than to
Old
be
enough.
doing this stuff, but young enough to recover. So like getting on that thing and failing, like not being able to stay on, getting hurt, falling off, whatever, and then having the courage to actually get back up, knowing that it was probably going to happen again, but still doing it anyways because the outcome was worth it to me. To have that horse actually broke and able to ride was worth it to me. I placed enough weight on the other side of that failure that I was willing to pick up the courage to get back on that horse's back and do it again.
Yeah.
And I look at life that way. Like, what is the thing on the other side of failure that makes it worth tipping the needle towards courage versus fear? That paralyzes it. Fear.
You're making me think of a question that one of the coaches we work with, Eileen, she would always ask, what was more important?
Yeah.
Like when you didn't do what you said you were going to do,
Yeah.
what was more important?
Right.
And it's not the most fun to say it was more important to me to wallow in my self-pity
Yeah.
because I did not want to face failure than it was for me to accomplish the thing I said was important to me.
Yeah.
And
It exposes something, not only it exposes something not only to yourself, but to everyone else. Like if you can like sit there and admit that,
yeah,
it exposes a truth.
which at that point, and this is to your point, you asked the question, what do you do with that, right?
Right.
What do you do at that point matters so much.
Yeah.
Matters so much to ask yourself, okay, like how did I get here? Why am I here? What am I going to do moving forward?
Mm-hmm.
What do I do when I have very clearly laid out? I'm clear on what I want my outcome is. I'm clear on where I'm at. I'm clear on where I fell short and why I fell short. Because again, the outcome will expose the aim. It was more important for me to not try. It was more important for me to isolate myself than it was to take a step.
Right.
My natural reaction up until recently was to fall into shame immediately or victimhood. Like I either was so hard on myself, like I should have done better. Like I knew that this would happen. Why did I not do better? Like I know I'm capable of more. Why did I not do more? I could have done more. Like all of the should have, would have, could have's that live in shame would hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Or I didn't have what I needed to be successful,
Right.
right? Like I was not successful because of this circumstance or this person. It's everyone else's fault except for mine.
Right.
Woe is me. I'm the victim here.
Sure.
And those were defaults. Again, we talk about coaching as a service that we offer. Well, coaching illuminated that for me. Mm-hmm. So, which is why now I'm a lot more comfortable when I'm facing failure because I know what the criminal in me wants to do.
Yeah.
When I hit a failure point, I can see the path I start going down. Mm-hmm. Am I going to start bashing myself? Am I going to start trying to blame others? Or, no shame, I am here. How do I move forward? If I just remember even in our coaching experience when we were in California, when we were talking about how we even get this thing going up off the ground, and we experienced a failure
Right.
that we had to stand and give an account for. And I just remember thinking, like, at the very beginning, I said this was the goal, and I was willing to risk failure.
Yeah.
And I failed.
And you failed.
Okay. Well, I said I was willing to do it. Now what? Like, keep going.
Yeah.
Like, my commitment exists beyond failure.
Right.
That's what a true commitment looks like.
Yeah.
And so that paradigm shift for me was huge in how I had failure feels so final,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which is another reason it's scary.
It is. It is. I mean, when you look at failure is the thing in life that most people want to try to cover up.
Oh yeah.
You know, they want to hide it. They want to like, and that tends to move the needle towards fear of failure instead of courage to fail. But if we can shine a light on the failure and why we failed, where we're at in the failure, like, then what's possible?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the courage comes when you put the light on it, because it gives you, like you said, it shows you, like, here's my actions, here's my results. Where do we go from here?
Yeah. And it's again, like, if there was one way that I guess I changed my interaction with failure, if I could be very clear on just one thing of how I've changed over the past year in the way I relate to it, it would be that failure is not final.
Yeah.
And when I take on that mindset, I know that there is life beyond. I know that there are still dreams beyond. Like, and maybe I'm sure that there are people who are watching or listening to this that you have experienced failure and that felt so final. It's like, that's it. Like, I'm done. But I mean, that's the whole point of every good movie that we love, right?
Right.
Like, at some point the hero gets taken down and it feels like all hope is lost.
Right.
But the commitment and the vision for what can be lives beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And the triumph that comes is beyond and is so much more powerful because of what you faced in the process.
Right.
It's so weird. If we could take all the emotion out of failure, like, and you know, like, if how different we would respond to it. Like, if we just say, this is important to us, we want to do it, and we know we are here, we know we need to get here, and we experience a failure. Okay, well, we said we want to be here, and so, okay, let's try a different way.
Right, right. I think of failure as a stepping stone, not necessarily a stepping stone forward. It could be a stepping stone backwards, sideways, forward, but at least you're moving.
Yeah, like, but like my point is, it's like it's an internal battle, so much more than what we realize.
Yeah.
And it's just even as we're talking about it now, it's helping me like flesh out a little bit more about how I relate to it. Yeah, there's fruit on the other side. It's not final. It's okay.
Right.
It's okay. Gonna be okay. You're gonna be fine. So,
Fear's always going to be there. Failure's always going to be there.
yeah,
But the hope is that courage is always going to be there as well.
yeah. The choice,
The choice.
the choice, the commitment to courage. And I was talking to another coach friend of ours, Chad, about even doing this podcast. There are times that I feel like, oh yeah, I got it today. Like, I just feel like I know what we're talking through. I feel confident in my ability to add value. And Chad challenged me on it. He was like, your ability to show up shouldn't be based off of confidence. Like, your ability to show up is your willingness to choose courage every time. Right?
Right.
I was like, damn it, Chad. Because even experiencing failure and being like, hey, fruit came from this. Awesome. I like that. I'm good. I conquered failure. Right? No,
Right.
It's every time.
Every time.
Every time. It does get a little easier the more that you interact with it, but it still takes courage every freaking time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And-
Like I said, like you have a period where failure is going to stink. It's going to suck. It's going to feel bad and raw. But you have the ability to choose out of those emotions just as easily as you fell into them.
Yeah. People don't want to hear that.
No.
I don't want to hear that.
No. But even then,
Hold up. Say that one more time. The way you said it was just so perfect. People can get out of those emotions just as easily as they fell into it.
oh yeah.
I want you to verbalize that one more time because it felt good coming from you.
Oh, okay. Let's take it from the top.
Yes.
So just as easily as you fell into those emotions, whether it was sad, angry, disappointed, you have the ability, and it is just as easy to choose out of it.
Woo! Dang, that's good. When you master yourself,
Oh, yeah.
when you own the way you show up, when you are well versed with the criminal that lives inside you, and you know the strategies of the criminal.
Yeah.
And this is, if there's one thing that I try to boil down to when I'm talking to people about how coaching has changed me, it's just I'm aware of how I operate.
That's it.
I'm aware of what I will tend to do when this happens. And when I'm aware of it, it's a choice to walk out of it.
That's it.
Like, just as you're saying, like, I'm aware now when I face failure, I go into shame or I blame.
Yeah, awareness is key. So, like, I'm going to encourage anyone who's listening right now, if you're aware of a time in your life where you have failed and that failure is defining you right now, is to take a step out, look at how that has been working against you and not in your favor, and then take a slight choice to choose out today. Choose to move that needle towards courage and get out of that failure mindset. Like that fear of failure mindset, walk away from it. As easily as you fell into it, walk away from it.
May I add?
Add, please do.
There is a reason that they stay in it.
Yeah, there's payoff.
They get something out of it.
Sure.
I get something out of my self-loathing. It's nice in there, you know.
It's warm and cozy.
It's warm and cozy.
Are you all alone?
Sometimes. If I choose to invite other people into my misery, I could, or I could just chill here all by myself. But like, you have to be aware and change the question. Stop asking, why does this keep happening to me? And start asking, why do I keep doing this to myself?
Right.
Well, why do I choose to stay in this? Because it is a choice.
Right.
And you again, the awareness portion of it, you won't walk out of it until you realize, oh, I do this because this is what I gain from it. But man, here's the long-term cost that comes from it, and I've got to pay it with penalties
and
interest. So to walk away from something that feels good, looks good, I'm in control, like, woe is me, but I can play the victim here. I can garner sympathy from all sorts of people, or woe is me, I didn't have the resources I need. These people they did me wrong, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's cool. You could stay there if you want, and you could stay there if you want. Or you could be more effective. You could not fear the failure. You could not shove it aside as much, and you could embrace it and watch what opens up for you.
Yeah. When we talk about failure being a stepping stone and it either taking you back a notch or propelling you forward, I truly think that your mindset on how you relate to that failure is going to determine whether that failure sets you back or propels you forward.
Yeah.
You get to choose if you're headed in the direction that you want to head after that failure.
Change the way you relate to it.
Change the world.
We make it sound so easy.
Yeah, it is.
Again, take the emotions out of it. Take the human nature out of it. It's super easy.
Well, that's why we're human. We're emotional, right? Like, and that's why I said, like,
you are emotional.
Sometimes, depends on the month. You know,
I'll ask offline which months I need to be aware of.
No, but like in all honesty, like we have the ability to choose out.
Yeah.
And that emotion, like we have a time period where we get to experience the failure for what it is, a loss. Because without that, it wouldn't really feel like a failure, would it? Like if you didn't have any negative emotions towards it or sadness or anger because of it, it wouldn't actually be a true failure. So if you get to like feel the emotions attached to that failure, then you get to springboard off of that into what you want it to look like in the future.
Yeah. I'm content. Are you content?
I am perfectly content.
Perfectly content. Well, this conversation was great. Challenging for me too.
Yeah.
To reformat and to reshape the way that we're viewing failure, and just thinking of the way that I'm relating to it in some circumstances in my life, and how I can own those and step out of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this has been This has been a great challenge to me as well. You know, like I think back to some of the failures just even in my recent past and how I've let them define what type of person I am, you know, my self-talk, you know, what's going on in my head.
True.
And, you know, I'm choosing that. So I can just as easily choose out of that. So this is a great reminder of that today.
If you are listening and or watching and you related to anything that we talked through today, if you're struggling with fear, if you have dreams and goals and instead of facing fear, you chose the coward's path.
Yeah.
And you laid down and you made your dreams and goals. You didn't tell anyone about them. You kept them ambiguous on purpose as a strategy, all so you could avoid the potential of failure. And in the lack of clarity, you're self-sabotaging yourself and bringing about the inevitability of failure too.
Sure.
If we can be clear on that. But if that is you and you are tired of being stuck in that cycle, tired of why does this keep happening to me? We want to challenge you. Why do you keep doing this to yourself? Because that's what coaches do.
And how is this happening for you?
How is this happening for you? What are you getting out of it? This is a very powerful topic and a very challenging thing to navigate by yourself. We are able to talk about this in the context that we do because of coaching that we've both experienced and training that we've both experienced. And we would love to coach you if that is something you're interested in. If you're ready to break some of the habits that you formed, ready to tackle some things, get out there and watch what opens up when you're willing to face failure. I'm telling you, it will make a huge difference in your life. And the passion, the excitement, the joy, the contentment that you feel in your life. So if you want to know more about coaching, if you are interested in signing up for coaching, you can find out how to do that at www.imuststand.com. If you would like to also tackle this in a group setting with a bunch of other like-minded men in a pattern interrupt type of 3-day transformational event, we have 4 of those happening in 2024. We call them the Wake Weekend. We would love to see you there. It's something that is a powerful, powerful, transformative time, opens up so many resources with the people around you. It's a very powerful self-reflecting time. You're going to see patterns that you have not seen in your life before. You're going to be able to look at where you are in your life and be able to give an actual account of how you got there, why you are in control of it, what you can do to get out of it. So we would love to see you there. You can sign up for that at www.thewakeweekend.com. So in the meantime, though, Brad, anything else you would want to say?
No, I think you covered it greatly. If you, like Travis said, if you've gotten something out of this, give us a like, give us a listen, give us a thumbs up, share it with a friend on any of those platforms.
On any of them. We have, we said that Spotify and Apple Podcasts were the normal ones. And then producer Brian piped in and said that he was not on one. What are you on, producer Brian?
Overcast.
We are not on Overcast. I can tell you that. Are we on Overcast? That was a mistake. That was an accident. Quite frankly, I'm not sure how that happened, and I don't know if I can stand for that. We're on Overcast, and Brian's experiencing it. Producer Brian's experiencing it. So that's great. If you are on Overcast, we do have a challenge for you. Let's get your life right. Let's make some better decisions. Coaching is definitely for you, and the Wake Weekend is for sure for you. Where else is it showing up? A victim at its best. All right. Thank you so much for watching, listening. We appreciate it. We love y'all. Again, any feedback, all the comments, whatever, we're open to it. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time.